Before we get into today's episode, here is a list of our sponsors. Thank you for your support.
If you want to support the channel, we have t-shirts and other merch right there in the description. Just hit the link.
Before the echo walk, the solitude, the zigzag lightning, play the games in the universe. I know before there was a when, a where, or a then, or there. I know before the foundation of the earth was laid.
Hello, Saints. First of all, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the channel. Today, we're going to take a look at how the Bonner World YouTube channel came about. It's an interesting story, at least in my opinion. So let's start with my mother. My mother has been a member of Solomon's Temple ever since the mid-80s or so. Bishop William L. Bonner, who was Elder Bonner at the time, was sent to Detroit by R.C. Lawson, who is the founder of Cool JC. He was sent to Detroit to start his lone ministry. He went through many different variations of the church and a few locations. He finally settled on one spot, which eventually ended up being the Solomon's Temple we know today. Now, my mother did a lot of volunteering at the church, and she was on many committees and many auxiliaries throughout the years. We're talking 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, maybe even the 2010s, if I remember correctly. Now, there's one position that ties into what we're talking about today. She volunteered and gave herself the assignment of working in the church's bookstore. Now, this was in the 90s going into the 2000s. She did not take a salary for the hours she spent in the store, though. She didn't get paid. However, she did kind of pay herself in a different kind of way. So what did she do? She had a habit of recording some copies of the tapes for herself so she can enjoy Bishop Bonner at home. This was her compensation. Now, I don't want you to worry and think she was in there just taking all the merchandise, right? Because I remember her going to other stores and buying packs of blank tapes so she can go make her copies. So she didn't take anything from the church at all, right? She just wanted to pitch in and volunteer for the building of the kingdom of God. That was what she was about. She had integrity. And this taught me a lot at a young age, to do things with integrity. Now, she merely made her own copy. Every time she liked a message, if you came in town and preached a good message, she just recorded it. If it was an older message she liked, she just recorded it. This was her payment. She did this for a while. Now, after a while, the tapes started piling up, right? They started piling up pretty good. And I still remember they were kept in this big giant purple case. Like this thing was ginormous to me, right? So fast forward to about 2005 or so, and at this time I was really getting quite good at my music slash audio editing. Previous to that, I went to the Recording Institute of Detroit for sound engineering. So what I'm about to say was right in my lane. It was right up my alley. So I'm just sitting there and I'm looking at this big ginormous purple case, right, full of all these great tapes, all these great messages that Bishop Bonner preached. And I'm thinking to myself, man, wouldn't it be cool if I can take them off of these cassettes and put them in a digital format so we can listen to them over and over again without them losing quality and without us having to throw tapes out because they got ruined over time just by wearing out. Now, I'm going to stop for a second and I'm going to make a note. If you're under 35, you probably don't know too much of what I'm saying. But if you're over the age of 35, you know exactly what I'm saying. Cassette tapes, they were nice for what they were, but they were not durable, right? You would lose quality. You couldn't listen to tapes over and over again. Sometimes the cassette tape, if it's put inside of a radio or whatever you're listening to, and let's say the heads are messed up, it'll warp your tape. It will break your tape. Your tape will start doing funny things. And you remember, like, if I challenge some people, take out your old cassette player now, put an old cassette tape in there. It's not going to sound great, right? It's going to be okay if you took care of it, but it's not going to be great. So I wanted these things to be great. Why should we suffer through that, right? Because tapes are not durable, not compared to CDs or MP3s, right? I started the journey with those cassette tapes. And I'm going to stop again because, yes, if you are on Vinyl World and you're listening to the Lost Tape series, they were really cassette tapes originally. These were once all on cassette tapes. Let me tell you this. Take out your old cassette players, put an old cassette tape in there, and compare it to the quality of stuff we're putting on Vinyl World. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be close. Is it perfect? No, because the tapes, they do things over the years. So, but I got them as close as I could, right? Your original cassette tapes, they're going to have static. The tape's going to warp. Some of them might not play at all. If they do play, some of them are going to have low volume. I think you get where I'm going with this, right? So I struggled with a lot of these tapes. I put on filters. I EQ'd them. I boosted the volume. I put noise reduction materials on them. I did everything to them. Now, some of you don't know what I just said. Compression as well. Some of you don't, that sounded like a foreign language to some people, but trust me, they're just engineer terms saying I did a lot of work. Each lost tape that you hear on this channel has probably had roughly 2 to 3 hours of work on average in order to restore them or remaster them. These weren't just stuff we had laying around and we just randomly just uploaded it because it would have sounded terrible. It would have looked terrible. I went from tape to tape. Now, she had a lot of them. It was a big, ginormous purple tape, trust me. And she built them up over time. So here I am. I'm going from tape to tape. It's taking time, man, a lot of time. And I remember doing this tirelessly at the time. And it took months before I had a nice, strong collection that, that I looked at and I was proud that it was decent material. Now, at this very time, Vinyl World wasn't even a thought. All right. These tapes were just put together and made so me and my loved ones can enjoy listening to Bishop Bonner without the tape popping or the tape sounding terrible. At least that was the thought at first, right? All right, we're going somewhere with this story, so bear with me. Now let's time travel to 2008 or so. And by this time, I'm fully entrenched with the engineering crew at Solomon's Temple. Now, I mostly did audio at first. But at this point, enter a person named Janice Hall, who's the daughter of the great assistant pastor, Bishop William Hall. Now, she was over the engineering crew at that time. Very wonderful person. Now, she was the director of the nationally televised program that Bishop Bonner had airing all over the country. She took the time and she trusted me to direct some of these television tapings. Man, let me tell you, I don't think she realizes what she started because this opened up a whole new world of possibilities for me. I mean, I was just the audio guy up to that point. So I'm truly grateful to her for giving me that opportunity because I learned so much. Still doing video to this day. And I am also very grateful to this day for the opportunity to work with her and all the amazing ladies who were also camera operators at that time. So there I was directing and or doing audio week after week. I was doing one or the other, but without a doubt, I was in that engineering room every single week. Now, in the engineering room, sitting in there before we got started working, you notice, you can't help but to notice if you've been to the engineering room in Solomon's Temple, there's thousands of tapes on the wall from Bishop Bonner, right? The only problem was, and we're talking videotapes. Now, the only problem was that they were on Sony Betacam video cassette. Now, For those that don't know, this was a very professional recorder, and the tapes looked like a VCR tape or VHS tapes, but a little bigger. But they were very, very nice. They were state of the art, and they were very professional in their time. So I knew, looking at these tapes, that they were in good shape. Before I even could get a look at them, I knew that they aged well, because that media ages well when you take care of it. Now, once again, I thought, just like the audio tapes, I was thinking, man, this stuff should be in digital format, maybe even DVD or something else, so people can access it, right? And they can access it anytime they got ready. It doesn't have to just sit on the shelf. It was like, to me, in my opinion, it was almost like those videotapes were stuck in prison on those shelves, because nobody could see them. They were in beta format, so you couldn't just take one and put it in a VCR. You had to have the right player. Bishop Bonner meant for the people to hear these messages. So it started out as an experiment. I talked the right people into letting me transfer a few just to see how it would go. I was given a few to start with, and man, I got right on it. I think it's important to note that YouTube was in full effect by that time. But if you remember, if you looked at Bishop Bonner materials back then, there were only a few videos of Bishop Bonner. I mean, the same tired videos over and over again ran on a loop. Anytime you typed his name in there, the same stuff came up. A lot of you know that I'm telling the truth about that. And I can speak on that because I put a couple of videos on there back then. So a couple of those same videos were mine. So the experiment went very well initially, right? I was coming along, but it came to a halt after a few months. Now, I don't remember exactly why it came to a halt. I really can't remember why. I just remember it came to a halt, and all of a sudden I wasn't doing it anymore. But there was a meeting set up, right? And I was supposed to meet with certain individuals at the church to discuss the possibility of converting all the videos in the archive. Now, I won't divulge the identities of the people in the meeting. But yes, I met with people who were going to have me convert every single video recording Bishop Bonner did at Solomon's Temple. I want you to let that soak in, because we're talking between 30 and 40 years of ministry. So that's a lot of videos. There were thousands of videos, I think. So I gave them a price of $2 per video, I think. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I could have asked for way more, right? Well, the truth is, I really wanted to do it. I just really wanted to do it. I almost would have did it for free had I been a wealthy man already. But I couldn't afford to take that much time converting them and not ask for anything. I needed something for my time, because it would have took a lot of time. Probably would have took a while to do it. Plus, as I stated, there were thousands of videos, so I would have made something off of it. Both sides would have been happy. Just trust me. Well, the negotiations fell through. To this day, as far as I know, the whole collection has never been converted. I want you to think about it. We were only one yes away from having every single video Bishop Bonner ever recorded at Solomon's Temple Church, and they were all going to be at your fingertips at any given time. Think on demand, right? Anytime you get ready. That's big. That's big for any ministry. That would have been groundbreaking. I'm sure you would agree with me that that would have been groundbreaking. Just imagine having Bishop anytime you got ready. I'm leading up to something. Be patient. And you're probably saying to yourself, like, wow, that would have been awesome. Well, you would have had it had they agreed to give me $2 per video. Now, I want you to sit down and I want you to try to do the math in your head. I told you there were thousands of videos, right? And we're talking $2 a video. So, you know, hey, that is what it is. But they would have made that money back potentially within weeks. And we're talking 2008, 2009 or so. So 2008, 2009, all the way up to 2021, they still would have been making money on that deal right now had they made it. And we're talking hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions, who knows? But hey, they didn't say yes. We never got it. So I guess some people just lack vision, I guess. Luckily, I had the ones I converted as a part of that experiment, right? I did well given the limited time I had to get them, and I kept them in a safe place. I knew that they would age well because they're in digital format. That was the whole point of converting stuff in the first place, so it can be kept and it will be in great condition so when you need it. So I kept them in that safe place for me and my loved ones to enjoy anytime we needed them. Occasionally, I would drop a small clip on YouTube or something, but at that time, that was about it. If you've been watching a lot of YouTube of Bishop Bonner over the years, odds are that you've probably watched one or more of my clips. I'm talking even before Bonner World. Okay, so now we're in the meat of the story. Let's fast forward to 2010 or so. Now, if you remember, Bishop Bonner had a few health scares around this time as well. Now, enter the late Minister Derek Springer. He approached me. Because he heard I had a nice collection of Bishop Bonner material. Now, every now and then, like I said, I would put a few clips here and there on YouTube. And anytime somebody needed a sound clip, I already had it in digital format. So it was easy for me to get the tape, get them the audio. I became a little bit famous for this among certain people when they were having programs and such. And I guess he heard about it through the grapevine, right? In addition, I also designed the church's first website. So, I was known as kind of the technical guy. If you need something with Bishop Bonner, go to this guy. We talked about dedicating a whole YouTube channel just with Bishop's clips, his video clips. However, Derek had no idea that I had converted audio, like I had a lot of it. He didn't know. So there we were, me, Minister Derek Springer, and the late, great Bishop William L. Bonner. We're all standing in the parking lot of Solomon's Temple, right in front, right? So this was shortly after a night service where Bishop anointed thousands of people. And he had energy still. I don't know how, but he had great energy. So me and Minister Springer, we asked Bishop for his permission and blessing to put his material on YouTube. And he had no hesitation saying yes. Actually, he started smiling and shaking his head yes before we finished asking. It was almost like he knew we were going to ask it before we asked it. This was invigorating. We were happy, right? It was no doubt that he probably really did know we were going to ask it before we asked it. Maybe he had a feeling. Maybe he had a hunch. I don't know. So to all those that are wondering, yes, Bishop William L. Bonner really did give his blessing to this channel. And in fact, it gives me chills to know that I am the only surviving member of that conversation. So it was left all up to me to realize that vision later. Oh, and I almost forgot. There was one person who was ear hustling the whole conversation. It didn't matter to them that Bishop Bonner shook his head and said yes. It really didn't matter because it was a sister who did a lot in the church. I won't mention her name because she's still there. But as Bishop walked away from the conversation and we're on cloud nine, she said, "Hey, I don't agree with it. I don't think our business should be all on the internet for people to see." Now, I want you to sit and think about that for a second. If this sister had her way, and if I listened to her, I want you to think about the thousands of people who come to this channel regularly. I want you to think about the hundreds of thousands of views we've had on these messages. This message wouldn't have gotten to those people had I listened to this sister, right? They wouldn't have access to it because I had it. It was all in my personal collection at this point. I want you to be glad I didn't listen to her, because she was saying it as if Bishop Bonner didn't already have a nationally televised weekly show at the time, right? We're talking the Word Network, WADL, we're talking CBS, we're talking, he was on the radio still at the time. What was she talking about? I have no clue. Some people just want to be right and they want to give their opinion even though they don't know what they're talking about. So let this be a lesson to you on ignoring the ignorant. I don't have hard feelings toward the sister though. Actually, I'm even confident that she enjoys content on this channel from time to time without even knowing who made it. With that said, we didn't act on the channel right away. In fact, me and Springer never got together to really figure out exactly how we were going to do everything. I'm not making any excuses, but sometimes life just gets in the way of our plans, especially when we let life get in the way of our plans, right? Unfortunately, Minister Derek Springer transitioned before the vision became a reality. And of course, as many of you know, Bishop Bonner also transitioned within a few years after that conversation. All right, so here we go. Let's jump into a time machine and let's go to the year 2021. Now, years have passed by this point and we're in the middle of a COVID epidemic. I now have a fully formed media company and I have a few clients. Now, it's January at this point, and I was waiting for one potential client who's a big client, by the way, and I was waiting on a yes from them, but I had a little free time to think. I was just sitting there like, hey, this might be perfect timing. I have some free time to spare, and why not get started on that Bishop Bonner channel? Why not? I have everything is well preserved. The stuff is sounding great. And the people might really need this stuff, especially with the epidemic going on. My imagination started to wonder at the opportunities of putting this stuff out and how I can put it out and how I can package it and make it look very cool, right? I mean, I even own a media channel by this point, so I can have a lot of fun with the graphics and the intros and stuff like that, which is right up my alley. I love doing that stuff. Now, this wasn't the exact vision that me and Minister Springer was coming up with, but it's a derivative of that vision, which I'm very proud of. I felt like I owed it to Minister Springer and Bishop Bonner to at least put the channel out there and keeping the promise, right? I didn't want to let Bishop Bonner down, especially. Now, the first video we dropped was Morning Joy. This was an uninterrupted video of Bishop Bonner preaching. Now, for years, I would be the only one looking at this material since it's airing, right? But when I dropped it, we were off to the races. But I thought to myself, hey, what should I do with all these converted cassette tapes I have, right? All this audio. After sitting and thinking about it for a while, so I came up with the idea of calling them Bishop Bonner's Lost Tape series. It just makes sense. They are really cassette tapes originally that got converted, and you can say they were lost because people haven't heard this stuff for 20 and 30 years. So they're lost to the people, so it made sense. Now, I'm proud, very proud of the fact that we have the largest collection of Bishop Bonner content on the internet. But don't get it twisted. This isn't just stuff we threw and uploaded. Over the years, we have spent countless hours curating, remastering, and repackaging this material. Even with the material already in digital format, we still take time to prepare it before we upload it. It's not a coincidence we have so much content. We worked at it. This has been nearly 20 years in the making. So when we take time to ask for your support, especially financially, it's not to get rich off of Bishop Bonner content. If that's the case, we would have just sold it to you. Think about it. Instead, we put it on YouTube for free. But we do appreciate any support for our time and effort. When you support the channel, it makes it easier for us to continue to work on the content, because having a media company, I have clients and I have paying clients. The more time I spend on Bonner World, I can't give my attention to my paying clients. And it keeps us being consistent for you, because we know you need these messages. Now, without your occasional support, it will remain hard to be consistent with this. We're just letting you know this. Otherwise, we would just have 2 or 3 videos like the other channels do, right? And I'm not making fun of them. I'm just stating facts. We put a lot of work into this. Now, every step we've made on this journey has led us to the creation of this fabulous channel. I'll reiterate that it's been 20 years in the making. 20 years in the making. 20 years of gathering this awesome material for you. And at the end of the day, this is a fulfillment of a promise made to Bishop William L. Bonner and Minister Derek Springer. We have no regrets in sharing these messages in any way. Anybody that feels a certain type of way about us putting out the messages, we just ask you to take time to look at the format, take time to read the comments from the people that these messages affect on a positive level. This is blessing the world. I want to take time right now to thank everybody listening, and especially the supporters. I mean the supporters in any way. Even if you come on the channel and you watch a lot of videos, that's support as well. We are truly grateful. And let me take time just to say that we don't take your attention for granted. If you spend large amounts of time on this channel, it is appreciated, because the most expensive thing we can pay as human being is attention. Now, I trust that you enjoyed this most peculiar video, but we thought the story of creating the channel was a very nice one, and we thought we would like to share it to you. If you want to support in any way, it's appreciated. You can donate just by hitting the link in the description. You can donate any amount over $1. We'll take $1. Trust me, it's appreciated. Now, another option is to buy merch. I just want to make it clear that we do not have Bishop Bonner's likeness on any of the merch. We just have the name Bonner World with a nice design here and there. But it's very quality material, and it's only for the support of the channel, not to get rich. So this just keeps the channel going. Also, I need you to like and comment. Continue to do this stuff. And I want to thank you again for stopping through with Bonner World. As Bishop Bonner would say, Shalom, shalom.